This is what we'll be building on the channel this time. So what we're doing is we're doing a rollback swing, and as you can see here, it's got 45 angles, and when you put the slats on there, it gives it that nice roll look on the front. And then if you flip it over like this, same thing on the back as well. It'll give it that nice flow to the swing. But this is what we're doing on the video today. Then we're going to get a pitch so we have a little bit of a slope in our backing. So we're going to give it this little small pitch here and mark it. And then that way gives us an angle there, and then an angle on the bottom here to give it a little bit of a slope, because you don't want to be sitting straight up in the swing. First cut, this board is 3.5 inches. It's not an exact 2x4. So you're gonna come down to 2 3/4, and you're gonna make your first cut to get a 3/4 inch piece. We're gonna cut the angles for the handrails, and this is the bottom piece for the handrails. It's at a 5-degree angle, so I'm just gonna use my pattern right here to cut the other one. But just to let you know, it's at a 5-degree angle for the bottom handrail support. The way I measure the bolts when putting these together, I go 2 inches over, 2 inches down, and I know I have a cheater tape. Even though I don't need it. If you're learning, it's nice to have. But on the bottom, if I can get it to, we're gonna go, I'm gonna go 3.5 inches over and then 2 inches up. And that gives me a bolt here and then a bolt about right here to put these swings together. This is the handrail that I designed. I drew it out, cut it out with a bandsaw. It's gonna be around 21 inches long, and that's because you're gonna put a hole here for where your chain goes. And then on the back here, you're gonna have a bolt that goes in here. I bought extra long bolts. These are actually too big, but they're gonna hang out about this far. I don't know if you can see it. They're gonna hang out about that far when they go through, when they come through, like on this one. It's okay, because if you buy them too long, they're better to be that way than too short. You can always just cut them. Don't buy this. I've got to go back. You don't need one that has a shank on it. It has to have full threads. So yeah, gotta go back. Nice.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
When you're doing these, it's nice to have this type of ratchet right here. You can pick this up from Harbor Freight. It's a Pittsburgh, and it's to do things like wheel spokes and fencing, just like this right here. Well, this is not a fence, obviously, but it'll, as you can see, it'll go through like that, and so you can tighten it down. Once you get the slats on this area where it rounds over, you want to start coming back with a few, and you're going to come back 4.5 inches, and then you're going to start cutting these slightly shorter, because this is where one of your rails are going to come in. And my rails are going to be probably about 14.5 inches high. That's about average for what I do them at. Let me know in the comments if you do them any different than that. But we're going to come out with a rail on this one's a little shorter than the last one I did, so we'll probably come out I don't know, about 21 inches or so. 20, I don't know, maybe shorter than that, around 20 inches on the rail coming out. And it's going to be rounded over, and it's going to attach here with a eye bolt, and that's to hang. And then you're going to come down here later on and attach an eye bolt here. But you always want to, I've got it marked here for the width of this rail, this handrail going in, and it's going to come up about 14.5 inches. We're coming along with it. I got to get a couple more 2x4s for the top right here, the top and the back, and then we're going to put in an eye bolt right here, and then we're going to put another eye bolt in somewhere up here on the top. I think, no, actually it's going to go right here, eye bolt right here on the side, going through the armrest, and then an eye bolt right here, and then your chain is going to run up through the top up here, and then we're going to take one of these boards off right here, and we're going to cut it to where it's like this, so that chain can run up through here. When installing your bottom rail and your handrail, you want to leave a couple of these slats out of the top or out of the backing, and then the bottom you want to leave 3 out. And when you do your handrails, this is the handrail that I did. It's just a pattern. I drew it out and designed it myself. We get our bottom handrail. Once we get our angle, we get our top handrail, and we set a level on it. Make sure it's level. And I always like to come under here and mark this out. That way when you take this off and you go to install it, you got it exactly marked, so you don't have to redo it when you go to put it back together after drilling your holes. On this side for your eye bolt hanger, we cut out this piece here so our eye bolt can go right here. We're going to go 4 5/8 over, and then we're going to go 2 inches up, and this is about where our hole is going to be for our eye bolt. I'm real simple when it comes to things like this, so I just cut a small piece of wood that I had laying around, and I just basically kind of imitate where the chain is going to go, and that way it kind of gives me an idea where to mark my hole for the bottom of my rail so my chain can come through. To finish up on the rail, the handrail here, you want to drill and measure your holes to hold this handrail down. Finish up on that. On the back hangers, what you want to do is you want these to clear the back of the swing, so you've got to have a spacer with a washer. And on my last build I did not do this, so this is all I could find. I had just a regular metal spacer. These are brass. You can pick those up at your local Home Depot hardware store. But man, these things are $5 a piece. So yeah, you have to have that in order for, because your chain is going to come down to clear that. Alright, so we got this side on. One thing I learned about woodworking is once you make a commitment to something, you have to stick with it. And there's no going back unless you redo it. So this one, as you can see, it's right on the edge. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right on the edge. A little far down, which is no big deal. Then you come over here and look at this side. It's a little further up, but once you cut into something, cut a hole, it's either redo the whole thing or live with it. About 1/8 of an inch off, 1/16 of an inch off. You're just gonna have to roll with it. How do I get my chain through the handrail or armrest? So when we put our eye bolt in and we mark up here, it gives us a center point. And we can come up here and we can measure. Up here was around 2 inches, and then around 1 1/8 inches this way, and then we mark our center point, and then that's where we drill our hole. And as you can see, this one pretty accurate, and you use a bit to drill the hole out. Either I call it a paddle bit. I use that. Or you can use just anything that's going to do a smooth hole for you. Here's the final part. We're finished other than stain. We're going to use an 8-year decking stain on it so it'll last outside. But this is the final product once you get it finished.